Yeah. Okay, welcome to this meeting of the Buckinghamshire Milton Keynes Fire Authority Executive Committee. It's being recorded and will be uploaded to the Authority's YouTube channel. Start with agenda item number 1, apologies for absence.
Councillor Christensen, and I think Councillor Darlington is going to be late.
Okay, thank you very much. Moves us to the minutes of the previous meeting. To approve and sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of September. Are members happy? Are there any questions as to accuracy? Happy to sign?
Agreed. Yeah, great.
Thank you. Moves us to matters arising from the previous meeting. So the first one is EX23 performance management. A member asked if a report explaining over the border mobilisation could be shared with members. The Deputy Chief Fire Officer has advised this will be covered in the forthcoming CRMP members workshop. But I don't know if you perhaps want to cover current availability stats in that we were chatting about the other day to members now as well.
Yeah, I can cover that off quickly if that's okay. Yeah, just for members' awareness, and Simon can sort of chime in with some of this as well. We've seen quite a good uptick on our availability just recently, and that's obviously as a result of the investment that the authorities put into our recruitment campaign and getting people through training, and also the uplift in our crew commanders and our safety command force as well. So we have seen an increase in establishment and a decrease in bank costs of about 50% on the same period of last year. Is that correct, Simon?
That's correct, yeah. So 50% in October reduction, and consistently over the summer period, which has been tight for us in recent years, it's been down between 25 and 36% reduction month by month, and appliance availability has been better than previous years.
So it's had a real positive impact on that, and we've still got 18 firefighters at the Fire Service College that graduate in December. So again, that will assist and boost that recruitment, and we'll keep reporting that back to.
Great, thank you very much. Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Well, I think that's a really good news story, and I think there's something that we should be sharing with the public, because I think that's a real positive. And I think as an authority, we should thank Mick and the staff because it's their hard work that have actually got us to this point, plus the resources that we put in. You know, as I say, it's a really good news story. At the weekend, I was talking to my local retained crew, and they were really upbeat, really buoyant. And I think, you know, that's a great motivation across all of our staff. So it's a really good news story.
Well said, and we'll note that for the minutes. So thank you. Welcome. Moves us on to EX24 Unit 7 exit programme. The Vice Chairman asked if increasing the power supply to HQ when the service moves out of Unit 7 could be placed on the risk register. The Finance and Assets has advised this has been done. You happy with that, Councillor McLean? Yeah. Okay, that moves us on to disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosable pecuniary interests members wish to raise? No, I'll take that as a no. That moves us on to questions from the public in accordance with Standing Order SOA 7. Have we had any?
None, Chairman.
Thank you. Moves us on to item number 6, Budget Monitoring Report, April 2023 to September 2023. Councillor Walsh.
Chairman.
Are you going to introduce the report?
Yes, sorry, Chairman, bear with me. Okay, so overall, obviously Mark and Asset will take you through the details, but it's obviously good that we've got an underspec again, predominantly through increase in treasury, which has made a significant difference this year. But I'd like to thank the finance team, Mark and Asset in particular, for a sterling job in keeping our finances in good shape, as was highlighted by HMS. Yes, I'm sure Mark and Asset can take you through the detail.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councillor Walsh, for positive words, and I'll share that with the rest of the finance team as well. It's a team effort. In terms of the report itself, you have alluded to it. We obviously already reported on this report only a couple of months ago, and as Councillor Walsh alluded to, the underspends that we're currently seeing are predominantly due to employee costs, where we were under-established, predominantly around operational. But since September, we are now operating at full establishment. And the other underspend relates to additional treasury income that we're forecasting in the region of around additional 450k. The only thing I wanted to bring to your attention, because the report is pretty much similar to what we were reporting a couple of months ago, but you may have noticed that the underspend in the first quarter was just over 700k. Obviously, currently we're reporting 343k. The reason for that is that we had an additional in-year budget process in August, and we approved additional bids, which are highlighted in table 3. I wasn't going to go into any more detail because I think the report itself is self-explanatory. But if anyone has any particular questions, I kind of go through.
Thank you. Any questions from members?
So thank you for this. Good news on the direction of travel for the finances. But I've got a question on page 23. In the projects, installation of flagpoles at whole-time fire stations, is that really a priority for us to spend £10,000 on putting flagpoles up outside fire stations when we've got so many other things that we want to be spending money on?
That's a fair point, fair comment. We obviously had the process through our business transformation board, and it was run through senior leaders of the organisation. That just to say that there are stations out there that have already got flagpoles there, and what we wanted to do was have a consistent approach across the stations, especially around hold time. So it's not that we haven't got flagpoles; we already have got some at certain stations. We're trying to keep it consistent. In terms of the governance, they went through the business transformation board, went through its challenges like all the other bids did, and it was felt that this was one area that we wanted to invest in.
I disagree with that. I understand your answer. I completely disagree with the need for flagpoles at fire stations when we've got so many other financial priorities. I hear you. Thank you.
Noted. Sorry, did I miss your hand, Councillor Darlington?
No, but I'm happy to ask a question. So one of the things that we've discussed previously with the HMI is the lack of spending per head. We're in the 30s and the average is 45. What would it take to get us up to that level? I just think it's an obvious question given some of the discussions that we had with HMI and the contents of the report.
I'd estimate, given our resident population, you're probably talking around about 10 to 12 million pounds on their budget. It would be a big number to get.
And on the precept, it would be huge.
Oh, yeah, so that would be 40 to 50 quid.
Yeah.
Precept, yeah.
Yeah. But if the chair allows, can I just make a suggestion? Perhaps when we're looking at this, it's important for us to maybe have a long-term view of how we get to closer to what the average spend is in other authorities. I am not suggesting we put £50 on the precept this year. But I do think over the long term, we do have to recognise that we should be closer to the average spend than being in the lowest.
Yeah, I think the issue is with the way the precept referendum limits work,
yeah,
you're never going to catch up, especially when prior to the last 2 years, it was always on the percentage. That was only ever going to get wider because our precept is the third lowest, I think, of any authority. There is plans to have a more fundamental look at the way funding is redistributed amongst fire services. But those plans have been delayed and delayed and delayed for a number of years. And realistically, I can't see them coming in for at least another couple of years. So we will keep an eye on that because obviously, yeah, whilst we don't want to kind of increase our expenditure for the sake of it, having more funding available to do more with and be closer to the average would be a good position to be in.
Any other questions, comment before I do my couple? Okay, so just it's probably good on that question from Councillor Darlington. It's probably just a good moment to put on record that I wrote together with Mick to the dealer, Mr. Lee Rowley, 3 or 4 weeks ago now, outlining the case for precept flexibility for this year, and that's copied to the Chief Secretary, to the Treasury, and to the Secretary of State for DLUC as well. I got a reply, 2 replies actually, last week, the same letter twice, confirming that the case had been noted and that they were going through the process. I'm conscious that all of those ministers, of the Chief Secretary and the DLUC Minister, changed yesterday. So I think it's probably not a bad idea for us to resend that letter just to make sure it doesn't get lost. So we'll take that as an action. And I know that a number of our local members of Parliament have been lobbying on our behalf as well, from conversations I've had with them. Just good news to see the spend. Just to pick up a little bit on Councillor Lambert's point. One of the things that I've talked before about is that clearly the in-growth bids go through governance, and it's right that officers are empowered to get on with doing things that need to get done. But I think what probably we could do with just setting out is a clearer or effectively authorization framework that triggers things that in growth bids are of magnitude and importance that we should get as members ability to look at before it goes through sort of final sign off. Because when you look at some of the spending here, when there are things that sort of 50k plus, I start to think those are things that probably we ought to have a bit more of a member insight, whereas things that sort of 2-5k, clearly we should be empowering officers to get on with. So could I just ask, and it might not be magnitude, it might be different triggers that bring it to members, but could you just have a look at a process that we could agree to understand that? I just wanted to also two points that came up for me when I was looking at it. The airwave contract, could you just talk a little bit more about, obviously that's a significant increase in the costs, and I'm just slightly worried about that contract running away with us over time. So just a bit more about what we can do to control that, and just an update on the white ribbon accreditation as well, where we are with that.
So in terms of the airwave contract, I don't know, hopefully you'll be familiar with the ESMCP contract, and I'm the kind of treasurer for the Thames Valley region, so I've been running the finances there. Unfortunately, that's been delayed, and that has a knock-on effect on the airwave contract, and we have kind of sort of no control in terms of what the cost of the airwave will be. So members may or may not be aware, the airwave contract previously used to be funded about 80% by the Violent grant. The government took an approach in the last few years to reduce it, and probably rightly so, because that was on the expectation that ESN was coming in and was going to come in at a lower cost. Unfortunately, that's been delayed now. So what control do we have of the costs? The costs are the costs. We're managing it within the NTFP process, so any additional costs that we're aware of, and we know that they normally increase in now with CPI, we tend to build that into our inflation. The expectation is as and when ESN kicks in, hopefully the cost will be significantly less and there will be a saving. But until that doesn't kick in, we know the funding's not there anymore. The funding's going to go by 25, 26, it's reducing 20% each year. So we're going to have to cover the costs until ESN kicks in and we swap over, and hopefully we see a reduction in the cost.
And are the increases inflationary driven, or is there something else that's driving that level of increase?
Pretty much inflation
driven, right? Okay.
There is one potential silver lining on the airwave stuff in that Motorola were investigated by the Competition and Markets Authority, because they've got kind of a hand in both situations, because they're in the current system, they're in the future system. And there was the accusation made that they benefited by extending it, because in the same way that you have a mobile phone contract and you pay off the device, and once you paid off the device, it should then get cheaper. That hasn't happened with airwaves, so we've essentially paid for a lot of the hardware twice. So there may be some future reductions and or rebates coming our way, but obviously we can't bank on that. We have to be prudent and budget for the worst case, but we might get something back from that. So we'll keep members updated on that one. Just in terms of the other points you raised, white ribbon, we're soon to kick off 16 days of action around that. So we've got our accreditation, that's all been approved. Marie Crothers, who's been leading on that project, will present to the Fire Authority at our next meeting to give members a much more in-depth, up-to-date version of where we are on that one, which will be something to look forward to. In terms of the revised process, yeah, absolutely, we'll have a look at that, and we'll liaise with yourself and the lead member for finance to agree what the triggers are for various things to come up. So it's not just financially driven, but other things we want to look at as well. And yeah, we'll have a look at resending DLUC letters. I've got a meeting later today with my Home Office contact and the national lead for finance, just to update us on where we are with ministerial shuffles around and what we need to do to make sure we keep up our lobbying efforts. So that includes sending letters, re-engaging local MPs, etc. So we'll do all of that and keep members up to date.
Great, thank you. So members being asked to note the provisional outturn forecast, reference to do so.
Yes, great.
Thank you. Moves us on to item number 7, senior management team remuneration and performance review and annual report and employee bonus scheme. Stand straight over to you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the annual report consists of the SMT remuneration and performance review and annual report on employee bonus scheme. So there's an executive summary which shows the posts covered, contracts, cost of providing the services, the background and context to the pay and the remuneration. So there's the national context, the legislation, pay and gender pay, and then the financial position, the services we provide, financial performance, budget monitoring, and the council tax preset. SMT do not play a part in the pay review process. The wider SMT group have seen the report after it was sent to members as it was not deemed exempt. So Appendix 1 is the comparative data of Fire Authority's council tax, which shows we're one of the lowest council taxes. Appendix 2, SMB performance and achievements, and so I'll just go through a few of those. So technological work streams to meet resourcing requirements, the workforce planning group achieving the 300 operational establishment targets, and the applications for supervisory managers being at their highest level. The Armed Forces Gold Covenant, exceeding the national target of apprenticeship starters, S&T qualifications, and higher investment returns than originally budgeted. Appendix 3 shows the equality impact assessment, and the recommendations are, as per paragraph 4 of Annex A, it's recommended that performance-related pay and bonus payments are not paid to the senior management team in the current financial year. And recommendation 2, the SMT methodology is reviewed once the Chief Fire Officer recruitment process is complete. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from members? Councillor Lambert?
Thank you. This was in my portfolio for 7 years or something. So kind of, I know the background and stuff. There's a couple of things in here. For clarity, they're called merit awards, not bonus payments, because we don't bonus. But the senior leadership team, we use those words,
Yeah.
and I thought they'd been moved all the way through the organisation. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
I don't have a problem, and I haven't had a problem with the approach that this report takes and the policy. I think it is the right approach. My understanding, though, that last year I believe that we were to do a further report to say that this wouldn't form part. When we introduced this, it was the year before I joined the Fire Authority, and it was always a bit of an awkward conversation about it. But we were going through a massive restructure, and it was brought in on purpose to reward that change, as it were, the significant change. Over time, it's become kind of out of odds or out of sorts with the way that we operate. But the appendix, we have achieved significant amounts, and I don't take the eye off of that and to recognise that, but obviously there's no money in the pot.
No.
Where I'm going with this is a comment of congratulations, really, on everything the service has achieved. In the backdrop of HMI, it's really important to recognise what good we have really achieved and what the SMT have done in leading this authority. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I'm sorry we can't give them a pay award for that. We don't have the money, but also it's out of step with the way the authority now is. So thank you very much for the report. I'll be voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think Anne wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it was just in terms of the methodology. Sorry, just going back to what you were saying, we were supposed to be looking at obviously this year, but because the Chief Fire Officer, we're obviously going through that process. It was felt that it was kind of good to kind of move that back a little bit, and that's the reason behind it. But we will be looking at everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're being asked to decide that firstly, performance-related pay and bonus payments not paid to the senior management team in the financial year, and that the SMT methodology is reviewed once the Chief Fire Officer recruitment process is complete. The members happy to agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moves us on to item number 8, HMI CFRS action plan, which is a verbal update. Obviously, we have to prepare an HMI CRF action plan, which I think is due today. And I know that the team's been working on it in the background. I'll just hand straight over to Anne-Marie for a verbal update.
Thank you. So on Tuesday, the 17th of October, Buckinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service received its 2023 to 2025 HMIC inspection reports. As per requirements set out in the covering letter to the Chairman and the Chief Fire Officer, a copy of the action plan must be submitted to HMIC within 28 days of the report, which is today. The report was presented to the Extraordinary Fire Authority on the 24th of October with input from HMI Roy Wiltshire. One of the recommendations at the meeting was that the interim CFO be delegated to prepare and publish an action plan on behalf of the authority in consultation with the Chairman and the Vice Chairman. Following a review of the previous action plan, we've taken a slightly different approach with the Round 3 action plan and have included the following. The plan has prioritised the actions needed to meet the recommendations. The associated actions are clear, measurable and achievable. And the plan has been built with feedback from the Chairman, the Vice Chairman NFCC and other partners. Following sign-off from the chairman and the interim chief fire officer, the action plan will be submitted to HMIC FRS today and be published on our website in due course. Ongoing updates will be shared to the Overview and Audit Committee and the Fire Authority to ensure that there is ongoing scrutiny, and these updates will include progress on the recommendations, any impact on KPIs, and capture progress on the areas for improvement. We will continue to have ongoing dialogue with HMIC FRS at both a strategic and a tactical level to ensure our progress is in line with their expectations. I'm happy to take any questions.
No, just on, thanks to the team for putting the action plan together so quickly, and for members' input as well, that we've received over the last week or so. It has been a very quick turnaround with a lot of effort and a lot of time gone into it. We did meet with our service liaison lead on Friday of last week just to walk through the plan, and the feedback was positive, which was really good. So as I say, we've got almost like a good to go plan now that we'll work to, and we will bring back reports to members as Anne-Marie's outlined there.
Good. Any questions from members? Councillor Watt?
Will the report be circulated to members, or at least let us know where it's on
So
the
what,
website?
yeah, it's a good question. So what I think is proposed is that because the Overview and Audit Committee is the body that, if you recall, we delegated, the Fire Authority delegated the responsibility to track, is that the action plan will be published as part of their papers, and that's where it becomes public. I personally am okay with it being circulated to members once it's submitted. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do that. So, but the public element of it will be Fire Overview and Audit. So good question, thank you. I agree. Okay, so just any other members? So just a couple of things from me. So firstly, well done on the action plan. It was a tight turnaround, and certainly the version I saw yesterday, had come a long way. Clearly, what matters is the delivery rather than the plan. But it's really good to see the measures in the plan and the KPIs in particular that are in there. I suppose just the one other observation I've made. Mick and I both attended a HMI Chairs and Chiefs event 2 weeks ago. And one of the key messages from that I was struck by was this concept of self-awareness. And one of the bits of feedback actually from HMI Wiltshire was that not enough services were showing self-awareness through the process. And I think that was a really good, wasn't aimed specifically at us, but I think it's a really good bit of feedback for us to reflect on. And I was pleased in the version of the action plan I saw yesterday, some real acknowledgement of the areas where we've got work to do. And I think maintaining that level of self-awareness that, yes, there are some great things that we're doing and good progress, there are still things that we need to do. And just wanted to note that point. So I think all we're being asked to do here is just note that the action plan will be submitted today. We're all happy to do that.
Agree.
Okay, that moves us to item number 9, exclusion of public and press. To consider excluding the public and press representatives from the meeting by virtue of paragraph 1 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as the minutes contains information relating to any individual, and paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as the minutes contain information relating to the financial or business affairs of a person, including the authority. And on these grounds, it's considered the need to keep information exempt outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. Are members happy to exclude the public and the press?
Agreed.
Thank you.